Hey Scorpio, how are you? It's me, Lauren B. Welcome to the Untitled Tarot. As always, Scorpio, these readings are timeless. So whenever you get here is whenever you get here. And there will be an extended tier reading. The link for that's going to be the top one in the description box. I have like a lot of interesting downloads for you, Scorpio. I want to pray before I even get ahead of myself. Very good. Father God, thank you for bringing me and my Scorpios in today. I ask that you give me wisdom, clarity, and discernment to deliver these messages accurately for Scorpio's highest of love, light, alignment, and assignment. We praise you, we love you, we thank you always. We give you all the glory and the honor for these messages. To the utmost high, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen, Scorpio. So, I filmed a reading for you yesterday, Scorpio, and it was like so intense. And there were all these little hiccups that were happening. So I decided to refilm it today. But what was interesting is that that song by Panic at the Disco, New Perspective, it had popped in my head yesterday. And it was based mostly around your reading. And then I'd put on the Shufflemancy for you today. And of course, the first song that came up was New Perspective by Panic at the Disco. And so I think that there's a new perspective that you've had to gain on a lot of different aspects. It feels like you're really moving into the next chapter in your life. Now, again, I said your downloads were kind of random. We're going to use the Everyday Witches Tarot for you this week, which is a deck that I used to use all of the time when I first started my channel, and I love this deck. But I think at some point it felt like a little too like comic booky or something to me, and I moved on to much more serious decks like the Mystical Shaman and the Mystical Dream Tarot and the, you know, all of these, you know, kind of like very serious professional decks. But I opened up this deck and I realized that this deck fit me like a glove. This deck felt like home, right? But I moved on to something that was much more serious. And then normally, for those of you that notice, I part my hair down the middle, but I used to always wear my hair on the side. And then today I was like, I'm gonna wear my hair on the side. And there's really like this nostalgic feeling that in order to move into a new chapter, Scorpio, you've had to put some things literally to the side. And I know that's funny, but that's how they send me messages. You've had to put some things to the side in order to step into this new chapter. And it's really required you to kind of step into a new perspective about what is and is not possible for you. But there is this feeling of nostalgia, of like having to leave something behind. It's like tears of joy and sorrow at the same time, kind of simultaneously, which is really interesting. And there's this line in the New Perspective song that goes, stop there and let me correct it. I want to live a life from a new perspective. And it's funny. It's the idea that you've put some things in the past to the side that maybe they seemed silly or they seemed impossible or they didn't seem rational, right? So that way you could work on much more serious endeavors. And then there's almost like this coming to Jesus moment, this light bulb moment where you're like, wait, no, like I need to correct that. Like I want to live my life from a new perspective. Like, I want to live in the silly. I want to live in the magical. I want to live in the irrational, in the impossible. Like, that's what I want to do. And that was so much of your energy that was coming up yesterday in the reading that I had done for you. And something that also had come up in the reading I did for you yesterday was the fact that there was a lot of you that had absolutely no idea how like powerful you were and like how much potential you guys had. And there was a part of you that was holding yourself back from this new chapter because maybe it felt silly or you didn't feel capable or you didn't feel ready. A lot of you didn't feel ready. But the main download in that was the fact that you thought you started preparing for this chapter when you woke up. But the fact of the matter is that you had actually been preparing for this moment, like this big moment for yourself, since when you were asleep, since before you woke up or before you ascended, any of that, right? And I related it to when we're actually physically asleep and we get funny dreams with like prophetic messages and downloads and all of this stuff coming in. But it's like, even when you were asleep, it's like you're still preparing. You're still being prepared. You're still being, excuse you. You're still being prepared. You're still training, right? And it's the same thing that even before you had woken up and ascended, Seven of Pentacles, you've been investing, right? Even when you were in the natural, before you were in the spiritual, you were still investing into this process. It was all leading up to this big moment, which was confirmed to me because right before I started your video, I had laundry in the dryer. And I heard the do, and I was like, there ain't no way that those pants are dry. There is no way. And I checked it, and guess what? Those clothes were dry. I thought it wasn't ready, but turns out it was ready. And that's you, Scorpio. You are not soggy pants in the dryer. Like, you are ready. You've been investing in this for the whole time. the Lovers in reverse. So there's something, the Lovers is a card of choice. It's Gemini energy, which sometimes can be a little double-minded. There's something, it's not coming through romantic, and your reading didn't come through romantic yesterday either. But it is a card of choice, and there's something that you loved to do, or you love to do, and you really had to put it to the side. And there is this feeling of nostalgia, because it's not something that was bad for you. It's not something that was toxic. It's not something that was creating some kind of upheaval in your life. It's something that you genuinely loved, and it's something that you genuinely were good at, and having to put it aside so that way you could work on something else that is maybe not so rational, and maybe it's not so serious, but there's a greater sense of peace and joy. Especially, it's like, you look at the Seven of Pentacles card. It's an investment card, right? Like, she's working. But does she look like she's working? No. She looks like she's having a wonderful day. She's picking grapes. She's planting pentacles. Even the cat's helping out. Her intuition is helping her do it. She got a little cocktail. Like, she's working, but she's at a place of rest while she's working. Ding. And I've been talking about this resting concept for probably like the last week, and it was a good concept that I got from Shannon Yvette and her ministry, is that sometimes you could be sitting on the couch, right? And you could it looks like you're resting, but really your mind is stressed and it's toiling. Even though you're sedentary, you're actually very busy up here. Whereas when you're doing something that you love to do, right? Something that brings you joy, even something that feels a little bit silly and like a little bit almost like childish, right? Letting that inner child like put on its big boy and big girl pants and like kind of run the show. You could be at a place of peace and a place of flow, and from there things grow much more abundantly. And there is something about that there was something that you loved, and you know, fuck it, maybe it is a person, Scorpio. I don't know your business except when I'm telling you your business, but there was something that you actually genuinely loved, something that you were kind of in union with, and it was a good fit. But there's something about it was stressing you out too much. You weren't having so much flow. And yesterday, a big theme that had come up with you was you had the King and Queen of Swords that had come out in reverse. And it was the idea of, for a long time, you were thinking yourself out of your blessings, trying to schedule, trying to plan, how's this going to work? Like being way too cerebral and not leaning enough into the magic, right? You're Scorpio, you're the occult, right? It's like you just got to lean into the things that are unknown for you. The Hierophant in reverse. This is developing an entirely new structure. The Hierophant often represents the divine, but it also represents structures, hierarchies, institutions, organizations. This is like stepping out from the man, right? And this is something that's been coming up for you for probably the last 2 to 3 months. Ever since I did the Bird Set Free video for you, probably 2.5 months ago. It's in your playlist. It was about you not wanting to feel like you were like a plaque on someone's wall, or like feeling like you were like on someone's mantle, like you were just a piece of the mechanism. Like you wanted to become your own mechanism, become your own driving force in your life, and not just be a part of someone else's pie, being able to build your own pie. And again, this is something that you really did love to do, right? And 5 and 6, those are consecutive numbers. This is something that it feels like it took you like a lot of work and a lot of effort in order to establish what was some kind of union in an organization or a big group or some aspect of society, something like that. For some of you, it could be like a commitment kind of thing as well, because sometimes the Hierophant represents like marriage as well. And it's the idea of wanting love to be love and not so much work, right? Relationships, whether they're business or they're personal, business or pleasure, there is cooperation, there is compromise, but there should be a joy to it, right? It should be a labor of love, if that makes any sense. You're moving into less labor and more of a labor of love. Now there is some advice energy coming in for you as you move into this next chapter. I'm hearing that Raconteur song, Steady As She Goes. Steady as she goes, steady as she goes. There is an energy, I think, coming out of whatever you were in that was very predefined. Again, not being like a mechanism, that I think there are some mindsets or behavioral patterns that you might unconsciously carry over into this new chapter. This also relates to the new perspective. And I think the Steady As She Goes channel is about you not overworking yourself, not overburdening yourself, not taking something that you love to do that is fun for you, right? It's gonna be pulling in a new hobby, but like something that you love to do, something that's fun for you, something that you put other things to the side so that way you could sit in more of this labor of love, more of this flow state, more of this peaceful productivity state and then turn it into something that sucks all the magic out, right? It's like taking something that you love and brings you joy and peace and turning it into another thing that makes you feel burdened, if that makes any sense. Because you do have the Seven of Swords over here. So one, some of you might feel kind of guilty or bad for stepping away from a job, a corporation, a community, some kind of responsibility that you had. Because the Seven of Swords is like this sneaking out in the middle of the night sort of thing. So there could be that part of this nostalgic energy is you maybe feeling a little bit guilty. Like, I'm leaving some people behind. I'm leaving them hanging, that kind of thing. Because two of the swords are on the wall, but he's running away with five of the swords. And Five of Swords talks about mental conflicts and mind games and battles. And that could be part of the reason why you're leaving. That could be potentially part of the reason. I remember when I quit my regular person job and I started doing this full time, and because I'd been at my job for so long and I loved the people I work with and they're my family and I still talk to a lot of them all the time, but there was this feeling of nostalgia and a little bit of guilt. It's almost like I'm leaving them behind, like I'm leaving them to fend for myself. It's like I found the escape hatch and they did not find the escape hatch, and there is this weird like survivor's guilt sort of thing. And then when you step out into the unknown, I remember I hit a lot of like imposter syndrome, and then I was working, putting out 1,000 readings a day, trying to kind of compensate for that. And I think that part of this steady as she goes is they want you to pace yourself. They don't want you to lose the silliness. They don't want you to lose the fun in this new thing that you're doing, because it took a lot for you to move into this phase, into this new perspective, right? This is part of the stop there, let me correct it before you get going. Let's develop an even pace. We don't want you to lag behind, but we also don't want you to like run with the wolves. Like, just kind of keep an even pace. Allow yourself, if it starts feeling too heavy, if it starts feeling too stressful, right? King of Cups in reverse. If it starts feeling like you're like emotionally kind of shutting down from the stress and it's becoming too mechanical or cerebral for you, take a breath. Take a breath. Reapproach slowly, right? A lot of this is about scheduling. A lot of this is about pacing, because it feels like a lot of you are stepping out of kind of organized work for like big companies and corporations and moving into doing a little bit more of your own thing. I'm hearing independent contractor. Okay. A little bit more working for yourself. Independent contractor. So it's like, don't treat yourself the way your boss treat you. Does that make any sense? If it feels like it's shutting you down emotionally, because being able to be emotionally free and flowing and at peace and have that fun, that's where the good stuff is. That's the creativity. And you have the Five of Swords, which is what I was just talking about right here in reverse, which is, I think you're aware of this. But I also feel like they want to remind you to be mindful of that. You're not in competition. You're not in competition with anyone, and you're not in competition with yourself. That's important too. There's another line in that song. What is it? Stop there and let me correct it. I want to live a life from a new perspective. You come along because I love your face and I admire your expensive tastes. And it feels like that's what Spirit is saying to you, Scorpio. Because again, there is a part of you that might be like, this is buck wild what I'm doing right here. This decision, it's almost like buyer's remorse. It's like when you take that leap and then you're like, oh shit, I'm falling. Like, I'm really trying to fly right now, flapping your wings. And I feel like Spirit's saying to you, I like it that you dream big, Scorpio. I like that you have expensive taste right now. Like, you're really dreaming bigger for yourself than the average Joe. And I think that that's awesome, right? Come along. Like, I love your ambition. I love your faith. Like, I love the fact that you're dreaming a dream right now, Scorpio. Like, come on. It's almost like they're trying to slowly bait you out, because it feels like you're stepping out and then immediately like, oh shit, what did I just do? Did I really just say that? Did I just quit? Did I just do that? Oh no. And that might be where the hyperdrive trying to, okay, I gotta work, I gotta hustle, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And they're like, nah, you don't. You just gotta keep a steady pace, keep the fun in it, keep the love, keep the joy in what you're doing. It's like they're trying to bait you out because you stepped out of the cave and now you're like, oh no. And they're like, no, come on, Scorpio. Like, come on, Scorpio. Like, it's okay. You did the right thing. Keep going. Put your thing down, flip it, and reverse it. Three of Wands. This is preparation for your path. You're developing a new structure for yourself. So that also goes into scheduling and routine for you. Learning to not feel just like a cog on the wheel, because the Three of Wands talks about making the preparations and then setting off on your path. And I love that you're kind of on the horizon right here. And this magic wand, it's almost the idea of projecting the most positive outcome, the most positive visualization on your future, on what's over the cliff. Because she is sitting in this very much of a full moment. It's the idea of, I don't really know how to do this. I'm kind of just living on a prayer right now, like Bon Jovi. But it's the idea, again, coming back to your read from yesterday, is that you have been preparing for this your whole life. So don't feel intimidated for it. You are way much more prepared than you think you are. The pants are already dry. Like, you're good to go. And it's also the idea of faith really does pay off, not to forget about that. Not to forget about that. And I love that 2 of the wands that she has, they're in her belt. See how they're in her belt? And it's like the path. It's like you've already chosen the right path. Like, you have your path in your pocket. You have the right path in your pocket. But it's the 3rd wand, which equals 1, right? That's the Ace of Wands, which is the fire, and it's the creativity, and it's like the inspiration, and it's like follow the butterfly, like follow the firefly. It's like, use that. Don't second guess the path that you're on right now as you move into this new chapter to then throw you into hyperdrive and then burn yourself out. Don't do that. Just take the one. Just follow the initial spark. Follow the silly. Follow the magic. And I think I did a read for you a few weeks ago, and it was about like elemental magic, I believe. I think it was you're getting a new fairy godmother. I think that was the reading, and it was about elemental magic and like following a fairy like into the woods and then being like, shit, what am I doing? Is this kind of coming full circle for you now? And now you actually realize what you're doing. But to really take that inspiration, and it looks like paint. It's like paint the potential, paint what you want to see. What is flow and what is balance and what is creating with ease. Not a struggle. I feel like they're really trying to get us out of this like hustle and grind kind of culture mentality sort of thing. Again, this is back to the kind of correction thing. It goes into part of preparing, setting up this new foundation in this new chapter is changing the perspective about how you receive abundance. That it's not through toiling and struggling. It's that I am abundant. Heaven supplies me generously, and I am generous with what I have. I go from glory to glory. Like, it's that kind of thing of being able to create and have blessings and abundance come into your life, be prosperous in a flow state, in ease, because according to society, that's not possible unless you're up at dawn and you don't go back to sleep until the middle of the night, right? Toil in the midnight oil. We're not toiling. We're not doing that anymore. That's they've been really heavy on me about that. You probably noticed with my uploading schedule. Beautiful. Wow. Okay. See how excited I am? Look, you have the sun. It's the happiest card in the gosh darn deck. Look at you. And this is also healing. This is restoration, which is really important. Being able to recharge. And this new foundation in the new chapter is also, it's trying to be established in a way that you don't need so much recharge time because you're not so worn down to begin with. And there's also a communal aspect of this, like soul tribe and soul family. It's not just like naked baby on a horse. It's you and other people. So it's also being able to surround yourself with other energies that are also working in a happy, creative flow state with you, people that are also connected to their intuition. Each of these people have their own cats, and this field is full of sunflowers. And sunflowers on a cloudy day, they turn towards each other for light and warmth. This is also about emotional support. Emotional support. People that can pick you up and also be empathetic. There's a level of empathy here. Be empathetic to your needs and your process, and not just be like, well, you just got to work harder, Scorpio. You just got to grind it out. You just got to stay a little later. People that are like, nah, like, you're good. Like, God will take care of you. Do you see how the sun looks like a moon right now? Is that just me? Look, it looks like a moon right now. Then you move it closer and you realize that it's actually the sun. So you might actually, these people might not have presented themselves to you. They still might be hidden. They still might be hidden a little bit. Interesting. Okay, Scorpio. Interesting. You actually, that I'm putting on top of the Seven of Swords and the and the King of Cups. There might have been some people like on your way out the door, Scorpio, that were giving you a little bit of a side eye about it. And I think it might just be a little bit of that projection energy because they haven't quite found their personal escape hatch yet. But I think that some of these people are actually really rooting for you more than you realize. Their pride might get in the way of them saying it, but I think a lot of these people are actually rooting for you a lot more than you realize. But what is beautiful is we have the Ace of Cups here, which is that overflowing emotion, love. She looks so peaceful, right? You see, it's like this magic halo like floating around her. It's more than enough. It's feeling so emotionally fulfilled that it's like just more than enough. The way she closes her eyes, it's almost even very like meditative. It's like being able to take your first deep breath, finally being able to take your first deep breath in a long time. And it's good. It's like a really good thing. And a lot of it has to do with all of these new things that you're cooking up, things that you're cooking up, I'm hearing in this cauldron, which is really very sweet. And then you have the Six of Cups. And you have the Ace of Wands, which is what I was saying in this card right here. This is soulmate energy. And soulmates are like ice cream flavors. So this is friends. This is family. This could be your partner. This is the soul tribe that is coming in to meet you. And I think that with this breath of fresh air, you're seeing that you're able to create in a totally different way, and that it's okay to be silly, and it's okay to do things that don't make sense to everyone else. And you can follow the magic, and you can follow the elementals into the forest and just see what you can manifest and see what happens, and that people will meet you along your path that are like you, and they're doing similar things, and they're operating in a very similar kind of vibration and flow, which gives you a greater sense of professional and emotional support all across the board. And I loved, we're finishing off with this Ace of Wands card, which is you in the forest. And it's like, holy shit, look what I can do. It's like this wand through your own personal power. It's like you jump off. It's like you take the Fool energy, you jump off this cliff, and it's like you land on 2 feet. You land solid. All the knowledge you have, your blueprint, your ability to be creative, it's like all of it alchemizes right here inside of you. It's really cool. And again, I feel like they want me to say it, and it came up in your reading yesterday, that sometimes we can feel like we have imposter syndrome. Like we jump off the cliff, we take these leaps of faith, and we try and do these impossible things, and we're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. But you do. You do know what you're doing. You've been preparing for this without realizing it long before you ever woke up, long before you ever ascended. And it's your time now. It's your time to do a new thing, most importantly, in a new way. And that is really gorgeous, Scorpio. So I'm very happy for you. I'm very happy for you. So I am going to go over on the Patreon, and I'm going to do your extended reading. Keep pulling some cards for you to see what we get. I love you guys very much. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you're interested in your extended reading or your monthly reading for March, the link to the Patreon is in the description box with all the decks I use on the channel, my email for personal readings in case you want to spend a little extra time with me one-on-one, and all my social media links in case you want to find me on one of the other various platforms that I'm on. And until I see you next time, Scorpio, I love you. You stay prayed up, and you stay blessed, and you stay sweet, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.